see, there are two things here. One is how we make their life stressful. This is, I think, very important to understand. You see, children, I mean, all of you must have observed is that when children get angry or when they are crying, they would do it for just few minutes, and then they completely forget that they were ever angry at all. You know, so uh, so this is very important thing that we must understand, that children's mechanism, the internal mechanism, is to be very contented and very safe, very happy. So they would, you know, get angry or throw tantrum only for a very little time to achieve what they want, and then immediately forget it. And why do they do that? They do that because in the modern context, we are constantly telling children, no, 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 no. This is what we are doing. So children are constantly, and this I have seen in the rural tribal areas, I have seen that the word no doesn't exist. Children doesn't have to ask permission at all to go anywhere. For any activity, children don't ask permission, which means that they don't have to go through, they don't get angry unnecessarily. So the more you say no to a child, the more angry the child will be. And if you are doing it on a daily basis, then slowly, that begins to take over their internal. Then that becomes a kind of a permanence in them. Otherwise, getting angry is something that child forgets within 2 seconds. It's not a permanent thing. So what we are actually doing is that by constantly going against children, we are making something so impermanent in them into a permanent state of mind. So this is number one. One is a stressful. The other thing is that when we look at boredom in our own lives, what is boredom? Boredom, when do we feel, when did that boredom enter into our being? When we started doing things that we do not like to do. That is how we acquired boredom into our own system. When you do what you like to do, boredom doesn't happen at all. You don't know how time flies. And boredom is what? Boredom is the time is not moving. That's what boredom is. And how did you stop the time? You stopped the time because you started doing things that you don't like to do, or you were compelled to do that. You see, there is a whole lot of psychological damage that we are doing by just two things. One, by denying children what they want to do. And it starts right from the beginning. Right from the beginning, because the child wants to be independent right from the beginning. Child wants to do everything on its own. But you don't allow the child to do it. Because you don't have time, or you think that the child will make the place dirty, you will have to clean it. All kinds of excuses come in to stop the child from exerting its independence. It's demanding independence, and they want their autonomy right from the beginning. But in the initial phase, you deny it completely. And then you want to give free, all this freedom and all that. But now you don't want it because you've already taken away that. So these are the two important things. One is that it's very important that you allow the child to do whatever it wants to, especially simple things like it wants to put their dress, they want to put socks. How many people allow a child to wear their own socks when they're very small? You don't allow. They want to walk actually initially, but you don't want them to walk because they are walking too slow for you. So you want to hold the child and start walking. And every time the child wants to struggle, they want to really start walking, and you don't allow it to happen. And that you continue for some time, and then you create a habit of, so you reverse that. Now you reverse this. After a few years, you want the child to walk and the child doesn't want to walk. Simple. So right from the beginning, you have to treat the child as an absolutely independent being. In fact, what I say is that in the first 4 or 5 years, treat the child like as if they are gods. They have all the capacities, all the abilities, they know everything. Treat them like that. You know, don't deny. You know, maybe physically they are not able to do it, but they want to do it. That's what they want to achieve. But you don't give it. So, two things. One, of course, you know, it's not a good idea to allow a child to sit in the television and enjoy it, because that is absolutely damaging for the brain. Absolutely damaging for the brain. So, of course, you will have to create certain boundaries in modern. See, in modernity, we can only create boundaries. You know, the other day, a person wanted me to work in a school, and I told that, you know, we can try and do can we start doing minimum damage? School itself is a damage. The very fact that school exists is damaging to our consciousness. So when they come to school, how do we reduce the damage? You know, but for a young parent who has very small children, that can be right now, they can be extremely careful. Number one, children doesn't need your help at all. Please understand this. They are complete by itself. So treat them like that and don't offer help. Don't treat them like idiots. Treat them as equals. That's very important. Don't play with children. Because you don't know how to play. That's the reason. Children are playful. Children, because their system works very differently. Children need other children to play with. When an adult plays, the equation is different. Because adult doesn't have the kind of flexibility, the kind of playfulness that the child has. So it is important that adults don't play with children. Adult must do what the adult enjoys doing, other than teaching, of course. You know, because what the child will imbibe is the quality that the adult has. If the child is, you see, it's simple that why do a child learns to teach when they go to school is because the child sees a teacher teaching. If you want the child to learn, then the child must see the person who is there learning. That person has interest in exploring, they're also learning. It is the quality of learning that the child will imbibe. But you know what, our mistake is that we are thinking that the content is important. The content is not important. It's the process that is important. It's the learning mind that we require, not a learned mind. So that applies to home also. That if you have a father who is, or a parent who is, you know, absolutely happy, who is doing things, who is open, who is flexible, you know, that definitely would help the child. So actually the change is required in the parent, that, you know, we can now start observing. First, learn to observe children. Learn to observe us in each action that we do. Count how many times we are telling no, how many times we are getting angry, and also look at why are we angry. You know, so I think what the child is giving you an opportunity is to become really aware of yourself. This is what, see, how does a learning environment begin? What is it actually about? A learning environment is a place where we are in a position of not knowing. We have to say we don't know. That's the first requirement for a learning to begin. Otherwise, it is always knowledge being applied. A learning environment is a place where we have accepted that we don't know. Then we start observing, quietly observing. We don't have to do anything. Just start observing. So these kind of shifts, if the parent is making, the parent becoming more and more sensitive, that naturally will be absorbed by the child also. So it is basically, it's very important that the parent makes these changes so that the child will, and it is for the parent. Don't do it for the child. That's very important. Don't do any drama acting for the child, because the children are very, very smart enough to pick your drama. They will also learn to play the drama. Don't do that. They are extremely, capable of, because they're already having much more abilities than you. We have lost those sensitivity and this, extra sensory ability that the child has. See, the child can actually, I remember a child living in the third floor could identify the father's scooter from the road. So they must have a fantastic quality. So please understand, your child has absolutely high level of abilities. Please understand this. So don't do any kind of play acting in front of the child. Be absolutely honest. It's okay to say you don't know. That's better. I would just share one very, one thing that a friend had shared in one of our groups, that this child was asking the father, she picked up a leaf and asked the father, what is this? So the father was tempted to say this is a leaf, but he didn't do it. So what he did was, he, along with the child, started picking up many more leaves, different types of leaves, dry leaves and different leaves, and put it around. So instead of answering a question like that, which would have actually stopped exploration of a child to understand what is the leaf, So that was a very interesting experience this friend had shared in one of the groups. So I think, we should stop giving, as far as possible, answers, and see how do we prolong holding that question in the child. The child has to hold those questions, Yeah.